Hello, welcome back to my channel, everybody, where we talk about marketing and cool people. We have cool people on to talk about marketing. So today we have a wonderful guest. She's beautiful. She's an actress. She's a director. She's a writer. And I got a look at I didn't get a look at the whole film, but like a trailer for her new film, and it's fabulous. Her name is Anna Fishbeyn, and her new movie is called Movement 360. It's going to be airing at or showing at the Cannes Film Festival very soon, and you're going to get a chance to get a look at it soon too. So before I go further, let Anna come in here and say hello to everybody.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I'm excited to be here. So I just want to say that my streaming platform is Movement 360, and the movie is called Galaxy 360. I know it's right. I know it's like 360, 360, but whatever. Like I love 360 because it's the whole body, it's the whole self, it's the whole transformation. So I call everything 360. So anyways, my movie's called Galaxy 360, A Woman's Playground, and it takes place in 2195, where women rule the world, men dream of getting married, and it takes place over a male beauty pageant. So, it's a fun concept, and I've been working on this film for a while, and I'm really excited to be screening it at the Cannes Film Festival. We are there to open a new venue in Cannes, and I'm going to have a wild after party where I'm encouraging everybody to arrive in their most futuristic, glittery, sparkly outfits. We will have male models greeting women because, it's a gender reversal thing, or, traditional, stereotypical gender reversal concept. Like when you're going to a party, you've got those female models coming in and asking you what you want for a drink. Well, we're going to have men do that. So I'm super excited about that. And I get to perform, which is an honor and a privilege. And anytime you get to perform live is just absolutely fabulous. So that's what's happening in Cannes. I'm so excited to have met Simone before any of this happened so that we can have this interview now. So
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, the movie looks like it's a lot of fun. So when did you film it? When did you finish filming? And when
So
is it showing at Cannes?
so I made it. So I've been making it my whole life, you could say, or rather, ever since I had children. And I was like, what just happened to my PhD? Like, nobody cares. What happened to women and their brains? And we're still having that conversation. And so ever since I had kids, I started making all this art that was about like what's going on with women, and how can we continue to be strong, and how can we continue to be powerful, even though there are so many responsibilities and so many things we have to do. And so just to give you like a little background, my first play in New York was called Conversations with My Breasts. And my second play in New York was called Sex in Mommyville. And I did that as a live one woman show, and it got a lot of attention because I was talking about sex at a time when not too many people were talking about female sexuality in the way that I was talking about female sexuality. And I used to like to say, sex in Mommyville, it goes with a question mark, like, are we really having sex, right? And so the reason I bring that up is because Galaxy 360, when it came out, I made it in 2018, 2019, and I finished filming it. And then Barbie came out in the summer of 2023. And then I opened in New York in September of 2023. And when I was opening, and during the interviews and reviews were like, well, are you Barbie? Are you like Barbie? Because you're reversing the world. And I was like, I'm Barbie with a twist. I'm Barbie after dark. I'm Barbie that deals with sex, so like.
I love
I'm
it. I love it.
in my movie, women want sex. In my movie, women become the sexual predators. In my movie, women are open, uninhibited, lusty, lustful, vivacious creatures. And I make absolutely zero excuses or qualifications about it. I don't go into it. I don't talk about their childhoods, none of that. Like, that's just the future. And I made that future. And so there are all these men on display, and they talk about the men and they talk about their bodies and they make fun of it. And we have lots of really funny things in the film. Like, we have nipple graft commercials for how to make men's nipples tighter and perkier. And we have commercials how to make men's butts, more attractive to women. And we have commercials for the best kind of alcohol to get you in the mood so that you can
Oh,
choose the man that you want. Right. And so, like, there's a lot of that, a culture that we've lived in that we don't even notice. And so I've had a lot of audience members come out of my movie saying, Anna, I've always considered myself, forward thinking and a feminist, but what you did to me, the way you made me think about all these issues, I've never thought about it that way. And so, and it's just because I put sort of words and lives that women lead into men's bodies, and men come out feeling empathy. And all jokes aside, this film is really created to create an empathetic movement between men and women so that we could live in each other's shoes, and so we could empathize with one another, and so that we can actually try to bridge the gap between us through comedy and through empathy and start conversations that are uncomfortable. And so that's what this movie is. And it's been like a wild ride, and taking it to Cannes will be a whole new world.
oh,
So
that's so amazing. So amazing. I love that. I love that. I love that the idea of switching the roles and giving, like, us having we're walking in their shoes and they're walking in our shoes. And we're kind of reversing the roles and allowing each other to see what it's like on the other side, because it's not it's we don't always know. We don't know what men feel and what they think on a consistent basis, and neither do they. And men joke about this all the time. I don't understand women. Like, I have a wife, I have a sister, I have a mother. I still don't understand women. I remember this incident when I was, I don't know, early 20s, and at church. And it's like things like this happen and we don't even think about it. But we this was after church service, we're all at lunch, and we got a bunch of us, young folk, we got to the fellowship hall, we get our plates or whatever, and we go and we sit at the tables. And since it was a big group of us, we split ourselves into two tables. Well, one table had mostly girls, and there was like one guy at the table, and the other table had more guys at it, right? And then the one guy at the table that had more of the guys at it, he turned around to the guy at our table. I was sitting at the table with mostly girls. He turned around and he said, "Hey, give me a couple of your girls. You've got all the girls over there." And I'm thinking, like, he meant it as a joke. It was just, one of those throwaway lines that you
yeah,
say. But when you think about it deeper, it's kind of a misogynistic attitude to have, really.
for
Like,
sure.
well, what if she doesn't want to go over there? And
Yeah,
we're sitting here because we want to sit here, and
yeah,
nobody asked us anything.
yeah.
you
And
know?
we're just thrown around. Like,
Yeah.
we're just thrown around like, we're marked, like, oh, you can have that girl, you can have this, and they decide, they choose. And it's something that I did in the movie where we the women got to choose. And it was such a
Mhm.
powerful concept, because you had the guys in the movie say things like, wait, is this how you guys live all the time? Is this what it's like? All, like, they would constantly ask, because we would be like, oh, can you fix your shorts? Oh, you know what? You've got a little bit of like that muffin. We got to get that perfect. And they got tired of having to deal, with their bodies. And it was so incredible, so powerful, because the men really, the actors in my movie, the male actors in my movie empathized with us on a kind of, it was like surreal. It was like us as actors, us as people living this, and also us portraying this other world. So it was like, we really had like an exegesis on the experience. And the thing I was going to tell you about the story that you just said is in my movie, everybody keeps asking me, well, what are the names of the men? And I say, there are no names, because if you look at female beauty pageants, they had no names. You got Miss America. I mean, you got Mississippi, you got Miss New Jersey, you got Miss New York. They never had names, and we just had what? Their faces, their bodies, their evening gowns. And it was exactly sort of the structure of my movie. So the men came out in the evening gowns, they came out in their bathing suits, and then we had the behind the scenes action drama kind of thing. But my men are called districts: District 11, District 3, District, it's because it's in the future. And so I just divide the world into districts. And but
That's
the
really
point
cool.
is that it removes the name. And by removing the name, you remove the individuality, and your story is a direct bridge to what I exactly in my story, which is that you get to choose, once you have nameless beings who are the object of your desire and the object of your affection, you get to decide where to place them, because you have all the power. And you know what I mean? And I don't get tired saying this enough. Women always say to me, oh, Anna, interesting concept. I love your idea about female confidence and empowerment and everything. But women are always fighting with each other. And what do you say to the fact that women are always pulling each other down? And I said, well, if we had a lot more power, we'd be a lot better friends. Because what people have to understand is that the reason we fight amongst each other, the reason we vie, the reason we put down that other girl, the reason why in public we have discussions as to whether we should inject or shouldn't inject, do Botox, not do Botox, look this way, not look this way, be old, not be old, be young, but while being old, and all kinds of discussions about our looks, is because we don't have power. And all of these things that we do with our appearance is all an attempt at gaining more power. And it is fascinating. So, because once you break it down, once you understand it in terms of power, you understand that we don't have any equity, gender equity. We have a situation where, and through this and through Movement 360, I want to bring men into the conversation. I want to say it's not just about the women. It's not just about us talking about it. It's about you guys too. You got sisters, you got mothers, you got wives, you want your daughters to succeed. Come into the fray and talk to us. Ask us what's up, ladies.
It's about having a more equitable world.
Yes.
We're different, but we're not less than.
Beautiful. Exactly.
So let me ask you this. What was it? Because you said, you mentioned when you had children, this whole idea for this movie and this movement really exploded in you. What was it about having children that kind of, moved you forward in this arena?
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing question. And I love this question because it all started with children, right? Because until I had the children, like many young women, I was a successful straight A student. I was working on my PhD, I was working on my novel, I was intellectual. I read interesting books. I talked about Nietzsche and Kant, and I was in classes where it was all men. And this is the most interesting thing, refused to identify as a feminist at that time, because I was like, the world is equal. I get to study what they get to. I get to be in the same classes. I'm determined. I get all my top grades. I work so hard. And then as soon as I had children, like I became invisible. Well, for one, I gained 60 pounds, right? And that made me more invisible than I had been when I was thin and I was young. And young, it's not like you change your age when you have children, but you definitely change the way that people view you, like you literally grow into a different being after you have children. So I gained weight and I became a breastfeeding mother. And I remember family members and everybody walking in, and my ex-husband, would change one diaper and everybody would clap for him. They would clap for him. They'd say he was so amazing. He changed a diaper, and then I'd be doing everything, right? And everybody would be like, are you breastfeeding them enough? are you doing the natural foods? Are you feeding them the right foods? Are you doing the right the right bedding, the right this, the right that? And as a mother, there was all this pressure. There's all this pressure being placed on you. Like, not only did I have to lose the weight, not only did I have to still look good, not only did I have to still like be attractive, not only did I have to be, still the perfect mother. But I think the worst part is I couldn't be intellectual. I could no longer discuss with anyone. I couldn't say, hey, I was thinking about Nietzsche the other day. I'd love to discuss it with you. And so everybody, if I did that, people would be like, you're not taking care of the baby. Like, why are you discussing a book? So basically what I started to do is when everybody would go to sleep and I was working on my novel, I would like have the baby on one side and I would like write with one hand and I would work on because I couldn't give up that part of me. I loved having children. I loved babies. I loved being a mother. None of that took it away. But society, our society kind of stole my intellectual thunder, and I just wanted to keep up with it and keep up with it. And so eventually I came up with this collection of short stories called Conversations with My Breasts. And eventually I wrote Sex and Mommyville, which was my first feminist manifesto, where I talk about the fact that I would be late at night breastfeeding my kid and I would turn on the TV and there would be some woman working out on a treadmill and they're selling the treadmill. And then the husband comes in and he says, I'm so happy she works out now because now I'm so much more attractive to her. I'm so much more attracted to her. I would see a commercial where, do you want to look younger? Let me tell you what you need to use to look younger. Or, every single moment I would watch TV, I was just bombarded with like, how to be thinner, how to be younger, how to look better, how to be more attractive, how to keep your husband faithful to you, how to do all that, like all of both the reading that I was doing, the watching that I was doing was all attacking me and my looks, and nobody was talking about, nobody was talking about the intellectual self. Or there was this giant discussion at that time that Sex and Mommyville came out was it better to be a stay-at-home mom or a working mom? Is it better to just devote yourself to the children or, work, show your children a great example of how you're working and be that kind of mom, right? And the world really split in half and the women were just debating it left and right. And I said, what about the dads?
I remember
Is
those
anyone
discussions.
identifying the dads? Like I would go into the playground and I would always say, I'm a writer and I'm a mom, or I'm an artist mom. And the dads would say, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm an accountant, I'm a fireman. But they define themselves as careers. I don't remember them ever saying, I'm a dad. So I made this play, and then I made a web series called Happy Hour Feminism, where I had these crazy little segments and I called it War of the Dads, where the two dads would be competing and kicking each other. Who's better, stay at home or working dad? And I would have this thing called the wolf period. And I talked about how men were on their wolf periods too. They had periods too. And why isn't anyone talking about them? And so I kind of, that was what, those were the preceding projects to Galaxy 360. And then Galaxy 360 was really the culmination of like everything I'd been thinking about for years. But that's where motherhood came in. And so in my movie, there are these dads who have like 5 children and they're all stay-at-home dads and they're still competing in the pageant.
This movie is going to be so much fun to watch. I am looking forward to it.
I think
I remember when we talked earlier, we talked about the what would be a good definition of feminism now? Because I feel like, as a Christian woman, I feel like sometimes, as a person who values men, who thinks that that fathers are extremely valuable, but at the same time, as a woman, I want that equality. I don't want to be stepped on. I don't want to be a second class citizen. I want my opinion to matter, all of that. when it comes to feminism, like what should be our definition of feminism? Like what is feminism? Like for somebody who isn't trying to be super extreme. It's not like, because in your movie, you're not, the message isn't that we don't need men, is it? What's
Exactly.
the message?
I mean, and it's such a great question about feminism because whenever people ask me, they're always shocked. Like, I'm always like, I love for my door to be open on a date. I love for the guy that I'm with to carry my bags or my backpack or whatever. Like, I don't have a problem with traditional values between men and women. They're beautiful. Who doesn't want flowers? Who doesn't want some of these beautiful traditional values? I don't have a problem with those. What I have a problem with is being devalued as a human being. What I have a problem with and what you said, I have a problem with somebody not respecting my opinion, not respecting my brain. What I minded as a young woman is raising my hand and all the men being called instead of me. Or I minded when I said something and the assumption is that I was going to be dumber than the guy that was going to speak, even though they didn't even know, but that was already a prejudice coming in. So having been a super straight A person and being eventually called pretty smart, in my life, it was hard to swallow that. It was hard to kind of, be constantly questioned as to whether this was really my idea, this was really my brilliance, or did somebody advise me on it? I'll never forget, I wrote a short story and it was a brilliant title. And one of my in-laws said, "Oh, did your husband help you with that title?" And I just remember thinking, wow, like just as a woman, like that very, and I remember the most interesting thing in my movie actually had to do with smarts because one of the male contestants was supposed to be a scientist. And during rehearsal, and I was supposed to be the bad guy. I was like I'm the hostess in the movie. I'm the one who like whips the men and, yells at them and says, "Drop down and give me 20. I want you to get skinny on my watch now. You can't have that potato chip." That's me. That's who I play. Um, and so during rehearsal, I said to this guy, "Did you come up with that idea? And was that you're a scientist, but was that really you, or was that your girlfriend? Did she come up with that?
Wow.
Or who told you what to do?" And I just remember the actual guy, the one who was playing the scientist, and all the men around him were like, "Why are you saying that? Why are you doing that?" And I remember them being really like shocked. And there was a PA, a female PA, and me, two women in the room. All the rest were guys. And I said, okay, stop rehearsal. Because I have to tell you guys, we're devalued in this way all the time. We're asked whether it's our idea. We're asked whether we are the smart, because that's our lives. And they said to me, I remember they said, "We didn't know." Like, we didn't know that was what we knew about the whole like objectification of your bodies things and things like that. So like one thing that the men learn in this movie, right, is that the objectification of our bodies and our appearances happens so much more than they think. Like it's so much more intensive. It's so much more like a 360-degree 24/7 from the morning you wake up. I like to say, how long, I always ask somebody that I'm dating, "How long does it take you to get ready?" And they usually, the man, I'm straight. And so the men always say, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I always say, "Well, I'm faster than most women, but it takes me about 30 minutes and sometimes an hour. And if it's a big event, it's 2 hours." So if you calculate all of the hours that women spend getting ready and worrying about their looks, and then you multiply it by 7, and then you multiply it by 30, and then you multiply it by the number of 365, by the number of days in a
Yeah.
year, think about how much time women's brains are being focused on our looks, and we are losing out. We like right there is a competitive edge that men have over us. Not claiming for you not to wear makeup, love makeup, not claiming for us not to do our hair, love to do my hair, but at the same time, let's just be conscious and aware of the fact that women, it's like, you know what it's like? It's like if I were to set up a marathon, right? And there were two runners, and everything, their abilities, their bodies, everything was equal, for instance. But The women had to start way, way later than the men. And that's just mere setup of the appearance world, right? That's just a mere setup of like our biology. Oh, we look a certain way, we shop for clothes longer, we do everything longer. So that takes the mind back a certain amount. So that's right there is something, right? And then the second thing that I was going to say is, in terms of, to get back to your point about feminism, the most interesting thing that happened during this movie, of course, is that we women got to live in their shoes, and I got to experience power, and I loved experiencing power. I loved being the boss lady. I loved bossing the men around. I loved playing the boss, and I loved being the boss, and I liked being the director. I never knew how much I was going to like it. I never knew how fast I was at making decisions when the pressure was on. I was like, okay, you do this, I do this, I'm going to do this. I loved it. And no one ever said to me when I was young, hey, Anna, you should run a corporation. You should be in charge of people. Nobody said that to me. I say that to my son. I say that to my son all the time. Hey, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to run a corporation. But it's because like, it's almost like natural to say that to your boy. Nobody says that to their girl. And I experienced that, and I experienced the power. And here's what I realized in living in their shoes. I was like, you know what? If I had that kind of power, I wouldn't want to give it up. I'd feel kind of, right? I'd feel kind of threatened if like these other beings called, men came around and were like, you know what, we want to share in this pot, like we want to be the leaders too. What? No. You go and be a paralegal, I'll be the partner in the, like it was so addictive, and I was drunk with power, if you could say, like, in terms of like, not that I didn't abuse it, but I just enjoyed it. I really just flowed with it and flowed into it. And I thought, oh, I get it. Like, I get it from their point of view. I get the resistance. I understand the resistance. And to me, a lot of the discussions need to be super honest. If we're ever going to get to a place of gender equity and respecting women and letting women be part of the power structure, we need to say to the men, hey, this is not the end of your power, right? And we understand that it's hard to share the power. And that's all the discussion is about. And the problem with feminism, the reason why feminists get such a bad, calling, the reason why bad reputation, the reason why people put feminism down is because power. Because if they want to keep their power, they're going to put down the word feminism, because feminism equals taking away that power. So if we just take away the callings and we actually speak about what's really going on, rather than all of us kind of dancing around it, name calling each other, and not really having bridges of communication. And I really think that's the biggest problem between like conservatives and Democrats. And, I actually listen to a lot of conservative men talk about the worry about feminism, the worry about how, women are not going to be mothers, or how they are not going to be into families. I'm totally into families. I'm totally into motherhood. I totally believe in a lot of, important values about raising children and, having the mom and the dad be there. I mean, I am divorced and I'm a single mom by virtue of the marriage not working out, but at the same time, had it worked out, I would have never said, hey, like that, my feminism. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with abilities and being valued for your abilities. And fortunately, we currently live in a world where we can be at school with men and we can demonstrate how truly smart we are. And I don't want women to have to constantly put out statistics out there to demonstrate how useful we would be in a corporation, because I think that's putting us down. That's devaluing us. So like, for instance, women get funded much less than men do. Women get something. So I read a statistic that in terms of startups and female funding, you're looking at like 2.6% of women getting funding. And when they do get the funding, it's anywhere between, let's say, 50,000 to 2 million, while men get anywhere between 2 million to 10 million when they're creating their startups. So women are not trusted to create these funds, and they're not trusted to take care of that money. And there are all these preconceptions that are set up around women. And what I don't want to be happening, what I see happening a lot, is that when women try to convince the investors to put money into them, they say, well, women are really good at multitasking, and women are just as smart as men, and women finish more colleges than men. They give out others. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to explain us. You don't have to prove us. It's already there.
Yeah.
It's already, we're already amazing.
Like, just treat us as people.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be that difficult.
Right.
It shouldn't.
Right. We don't have to constantly be proving ourselves. So in terms of, what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to create is I'm trying to create a conversation about it that's amicable, that's going to build solutions so that we can go towards solutions. And, whenever people ask me, they ask me, are you a feminist? I say I'm a feminist, and they think it's going to be aggressive because whatever they think that it means. And I say, well, I believe in two major things. Let's outlaw rape, so that rape looks to us like cannibalism looks to us today. So cannibal, nobody's talking about cannibalism, right?
Right.
So let's get us to a society where we're not afraid to walk out on the street. And so that rape is no longer even a conversation. And then obviously together with that, we outlaw sex trafficking. So so that we allow women to not be afraid. Imagine that kind of society. Imagine talking
add
about
one more. Outlaw violence against women.
Exactly.
Yeah, can we do that? That would be awesome. Where women aren't afraid in their own homes.
Domestic violence is huge.
Huge. Yeah. So I really appreciate your perspective on this, and I'm so excited about what you're doing and the art you're producing and this movement. So let's switch gears now and let's talk about the marketing.
Yes.
And let's talk about how the movie is doing, how it's reaching people, and how do you get it to where you are right now, where it's gotten so much attention that you are able to now, screen it at Cannes.
Yes. So it's been, I would like to say marketing is a long game. I think a lot of us don't realize, that it's a long game. I certainly didn't realize when I completed the movie and I screened it for the first time in public. I thought, my God, I have an amazing concept. Everyone is going to fall in love with me. Everyone's going to fall in love with the movie, and I'll just be out there. I had no idea. I had no idea how much work was going to go into it. I had no idea how many ups and downs I was going to have. I had no idea how much faith I was going to have in myself and in my project. And so anyone who's listening to this, if you're working on anything and you just started, or you're midway and you've lost hope, I'm here to tell you, you just have to keep at it. If you really believe in the project and you really believe in your message and you really believe that you want people to see it, feel it, experiencing it, you have to really work on finding different kinds of approaches and be flexible in your thinking in terms of marketing. So I don't even know where you'd like me to start with. So maybe I'll start with Toronto, because I had a screening in Toronto. So I'll start with Toronto because it was the first place I sold out at, and it was a live screening, and that was in 2022. And by that point in time, I had already screened at Cannes. I had already screened in LA. I had already had people kind of watch the movie. I was not happy with my movie during those screenings. And so I would go back to the drawing board, and keep revising the movie and getting the movie into a better shape. And so I finished it in 2019. It was in a certain shape then. I screened it in Brooklyn. I remember the first time. It just really wasn't ready, and it was a good concept and people laughed and everything. It's not like people didn't laugh, but it just wasn't where it got to in 2022. And in 2022, upon announcing it, it honestly sold out within 24 hours during the Toronto International Film Festival. And then I was invited to speak on the national Canadian television station, CP24, which played 24. I didn't even know this, but I got to my hotel and I was like, oh my God, CP24 is on 24 hours. And I was on that. And so that fueled me more. That gave me a lot of confidence. And so we put up another screening at a local theater in Toronto. And that's when I got this idea that everyone should participate. And I had women, I basically said there's a dress code to the screening, which is futuristic sparkly dresses. And this amazing thing happens to me in 2022. I walk into a bar, into a party during TIFF. I get a drink, and a woman who runs a costume shop says to me, I don't know what's going on, but all these women are coming in and they're looking for sparkly, futuristic dresses or outfits. And I
That's
just
awesome.
started screaming because it was a random event. I said,
Awesome.
I just couldn't, I couldn't stop screaming the first time. And I was so excited, and I didn't know what to do with myself. It was the first time like I felt like somewhat successful, like I was like, oh, maybe this is something, and it took me, and it was an amazing turnout in Canada. It was an amazing turnout in Toronto, and people were laughing, and people were coming up to me and saying, this is the funniest movie I've seen in 20 years. Like, this is really, really funny. And I was like, this is it. This is what I wanted. And so finally I felt like ready with the product, right? So like the product was finally what I wanted it to be. And then from that moment on, I began to kind of plan much more around it. And I decided that I wanted to try my hand at creating my own streaming platform. I had already spoken to some distributors. I had already considered some distribution deals at the time that happened. And then I started thinking, I want more. I want more. I want to expand my projects more, and I want to create my own distribution channel. And so I came up with Movement 360, and I started working on that. I started creating AI animated series during the next year. And so during 2023, I created Movement 360, created an AI animated world called Ontario World, where basically these futuristic galactic queens come down to planet Earth and give women confidence advice. And as you know, as I told you, I also worked with women and did workshops on confidence and how to help empower women, how to help them be confident in their stance and their speeches and in their work. And so at the same time, I was creating this animated series and I was teaching workshops. And then I had Galaxy, which was kind of like sitting on the sidelines, whispering to me, going, I need to come out, I need to come out into the world. And I was like, all right. And so in 2023, in September of 2023, I got the opportunity, an amazing opportunity, to open at the Angelica Film Center, which is a great, very respected, iconic theater in New York. And, we packed house and we had an incredible after party. And that really began to kind of fuel, and I started to work with brands. Like I started to work with and collaborate with the bar. I started to collaborate with hotels. I started to collaborate with other brands that wanted to have that publicity and the eyeballs. But that was only the beginning. I ended up screening it at Angelica for 3 months. And I wasn't screening every single day, but I was screening enough to kind of feel where the marketing was up and down, right? So like if I wasn't promoting it enough, if I took the eye off the ball for a second, I wasn't getting as many eyeballs on the movie. I wasn't getting as big of a turnout at the film screenings. And so I understood immediately that I need to up the game. And so after we finished the 3-month run, I had another event in New York for Valentine's Day, and I sold out that event. And and I started posting clips from the movie, and that changed everything. And so each clip that I would post, like each funny clip, it was getting anywhere. It started like it just exploded. It started going from, I don't know, like 10,000 views to, 174,000 views to 250,000 views. And I only had, I don't know, 1,000 followers on that account. So I couldn't understand what was happening. And then Instagram wrote to me and said, "Oh, your IG account has just gone from 144 accounts reached per week to 1 million accounts reached per week."
Wow.
And then literally within that week, it was at 2 million accounts reached. And so I was really reaching so many more people and getting so many more eyeballs on each clip. And and now it keeps a nice, so you just can't. So the thing that I say is I had to believe in the film. I had to put out, had to keep putting out the clips, had to keep putting out the social media, I was working with a marketing coach at that time, and he said to me, "No one knows who you are." Like, I was like, "What do you mean no one knows? It's been written about in Film Daily, and in this article, and there was this, and I was on NBC," and I just kept talking about myself. He's like, still, nobody knows who you are. And
Right.
so, the thing to say to everybody out there who's doing marketing, you got to keep putting your message out there. You got to keep talking about what you're doing. You have to keep putting out the content, and you can't relax. You have to keep going, because if this is something you believe in and you want that to affect people, and in my case, want to make people laugh, I have to keep talking about it. So that's been one of the
Absolutely.
challenges.
Yeah, one of the things that I like to say is that you have to repeat yourself, because if you say it just the once, you won't impact the people who weren't paying attention. So you have to keep saying it over and over and over again. So just like you're putting out the clips constantly, and you're having screenings in all these different places. I like the fact that what you said about the screenings. You went to Toronto, and you went to New York, and you went to these different theaters, and with each of those early screenings, you're noticing like where people are laughing and where they're not laughing and what their reactions are. And you come back and you say, okay, well, I need to edit this and change that, and do some, you know, make it even better, and it come back to the next screening and it's even better. And then you go to the next screening and it's even better because you've done some more editing, until now you feel like, okay, it's good, it's ready to go, it's good to have like major eyes on it. One of the things that I do in my marketing consulting practice is we teach about, and I help my clients to do a validation, where they pick an audience that they want to reach, but before they go all out with that audience, they go to a few people who may be ideal, that they think would want to buy it, and they go and they pitch it to that person, and they find out from those people, is this a good idea? Would you buy it? What kind of service is it? Is it gonna, do you think it's gonna solve your problem? Is it gonna help you? Is it gonna make you laugh? Is it gonna entertain you?
Right. Right.
And you get that feedback from them, and then you tweak it, and then and then you go back to them and you find out again, hey, is this good? Am I in a good place? Would you buy it if it were out there in the world, right? You
Right.
come to see this
Right.
movie at this film festival or at this screening. If it were to be in all of the, I can't remember the name of the theater here, but if it were to be in, in all these major cities or whatever, would you go to the theater to watch it? Would you buy the popcorn
Oh,
and bring
yeah.
a
Oh,
friend and all
yeah.
of that, right? That's that validation process. And I also like the fact that you're partnering with the bars and with different theaters and with different people. That's strategic partnerships. That is a fantastic way of having of duplicating your efforts, leveraging other people's time and expertise and efforts, and leveraging their networks to help you to get your message out there even more. So you're not just relying on your own efforts, not just relying on your own social media platforms. You're also leveraging other people and their networks to help you to push your movement forward and to push this movie forward. I think that's fantastic. Those are some great marketing strategies.
Yeah. Hey, and it's amazing that I love you saying that because, I've learned so much of this by just, wanting to put this film out there, but I had to learn these marketing strategies. Like you are the expert in it, and you are seeing that in what I'm doing. I don't know that I necessarily understood, everything that but it was a natural, like I needed a place where I was going to have the after party. And I literally went to clubs and like bars in the area of Angelica Film Center so we could just walk over. And I walked in, I said, "Hi, I have a movie." That's what the movie is all about. And I couldn't believe the response. The response was amazing. And I had a clothing store who was like, "Yeah, we want to give you the space." And I had another place that was like, "Yeah, we want you to be here. We want you to do this." I couldn't believe it. I was like, they're interested in that too. It's not just me alone. And I'm going to benefit them because I'm going to bring them audiences and I'm going to bring them customers. And, we, the content creators, also have to understand, like, whatever field, whatever niche you're in, you have to remember what value you're bringing to whoever you're asking to partner with you. And obviously I was bringing that to there was a bar 310 Bowery Bar, which was an amazing bar. And they wanted to partner with me and they cross promoted me and they did an amazing DJ party for us. And I just loved it. I mean, it was just incredible. And that really helped the movie too. So we had a cool after party. And so I truly believe in that. That is such a great aspect of marketing. Like that's where the fun really begins. And but I have to say, once I started getting the social media, once I started getting that many eyeballs on my work, it got easier to get partnerships.
Oh, imagine, yeah.
Yeah,
Because yeah, once you get over the hump at a certain that social media gives you social proof. And
right.
once you have social proof, other people want to jump on the bandwagon and they want to partner with you. So would you say that maybe some good parting advice to our audience who may not have millions of views just yet on their social media platforms? I mean, what would you say to them if they're struggling to get eyeballs and listeners on their projects and on their businesses and what they're doing? What would you say to them?
I would say really try to connect to something that people are dealing with. So, just to give an example, and this is kind of interesting because so like lesson learned from my personal social media, I used to put out clips or pieces of my trailer out into my social media. And something that I changed during the time that I started to sell out when I sold out the NYC event is I started to be like, okay, but how does this relate to like humanity? How does this relate to what's going on in the world? I happen to wanna, you know, I happen to be selling the Valentine's Day event, right? So it was Valentine's Day. So I would say things like, do you have a date for your Valentine's Day? Are you asking a man out? Like, are you being, forward in your thinking? One of my posts that did extremely, extremely well was called "How Big Is Your Dating Pool?" And it starts with like really old 75-year-old women dating 25-year-old men. And so it was a hook and
That's
it
not
said,
something you see every day, right?
not exactly. And so it played with the expectations. It talked about dating leading up to Valentine's Day. Like, so my advice would be, if you know there's a holiday coming up, if you know some, and do something with humor. You know, I'm a great believer in humor because humor really works. And it really helps to sell products. Like if you could do a little hook, humoristic hook, that's really, really great. Yeah, I would say like 3 points here. Making it timely. You know, I know that a lot of people talk about pain points. I'm not sure that I really used pain points that much. To me, that wasn't, I used humor. I love humor. Um, and I would say, you know, have a really sort of strategic, thematic hook, which really helped me because once I saw, you know, when I created that one clip called "How Big Is Your Dating Pool?" From that moment on, you know, I just kept using the themes in my film to kind of create the questions. The things that did best were questions. How sexy are you this Valentine's Day? You know, what you doing for your man? What do women want? How fat are you? Are you too fat? You know, like, I was like, you know, like I just went there. You know, I went there, and people responded, and people really responded to those clips that kind of made them slightly uncomfortable, but it also made them go like, "What's this about? You know, what's she talking about here?"
Curiosity.
Yeah, curious. So exactly, that's really good. That's like the thematic curiosity, I would say, and keep it kind of consistent. I did introduce a thumbnail. I chose a thumbnail that I would then use over and over again, the exact same type of thumbnail, because it was the same program, it was the same concept, the same film. So if it was that film, so like on my own social media on Anna Fishbeyn Official, there's me, Anna, dancing, doing whatever, my workouts, whatever. And then interspersed are things from my film. And then obviously my film platform is just my film platform. But whenever people saw my film, it always had the same brightly colored pink lettering, and it always had the questions that made people slightly uncomfortable. Like I had one that got, I think 200, I think it was like 150,000 views, and it asked, "Why do men cry?"
Mm.
You know, because we don't assume men cry, and suddenly men are crying. And so you just play with people's expectations, but also have a thematic, and also make sure that the thumbnail is like is part of your so whatever it is, if it's serious, it's serious. It doesn't mean, it doesn't have to be humorous. If you're selling us, if you're working with mental illness or you're working with depression, just keep it steady. Keep it steady and keep it on point, keep it on theme, keep it timely, keep watching what's going on in the world, and taking a little bit off of like the holidays. Mother's Day is coming up, you know, things to connect to the world. So I
Absolutely.
feel like doing that really, really helped. And being able to constantly hashtag Valentine's Day, you know, for the
Mhm.
Valentine's Day event. So the hashtags also, I would say, are useful.
Mm.
But also just, you know, putting it out everywhere, like not just, you know, just everywhere, wherever you can. And I would say, like, I would also say not to worry as much about um I would say not to worry as much about how many followers you have, because I have not been watching that at all, and that's been really liberating in a way. Watch who watches and how they engage, watch the engagement level and what's interesting to people. So that's another bit of advice. Like if you're not in the movies, if you're not doing that, you know, my goal is to hit as many people as possible.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for being here with me today and for giving me these great nuggets of wisdom and sharing the messages that you have that's coming out of Galaxy 360 and the movement. So tell us about your giveaway
Oh, okay.
for the
Well,
audience.
so my giveaway is so I really would love for everybody watching to, first of all, sign up for Movement 360. And there's a way to sign up for free. You can sign up for free, or you can join my platform, which is $32 per month as a membership fee, but you get to be part of our events, get invited to our VIP events. I have networking events, I have parties, and I do workshops where I do talk about, I have marketing workshops where I talk about some of these nuggets that I talked about here, and I'll be holding them, for filmmakers or really anybody who wants to be a part of that. And so people can definitely like reach out to me and get a 30-minute free consultation if they want to, on a very specific thing. So I do teach something that I haven't been able to focus too much on right now, but it's very dear to my heart, which is I help people raise and build their authentic confidence. And I am a great believer in going at it from the whole full body. I like to say from the outside in, and I help people build their authentic confidence from the outside in. So like how you stand, how you walk, how you talk is just as important as what you think. And sometimes what you think follows how you stand. So it's not the other way around. You don't have to constantly tell yourself, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. Sometimes it's just like, being like this will make you be more confident. So
I love looking confident, and that helps you feel more confident inside.
Exactly.
I've heard about that, like, having that Wonder Woman pose, right? Spread out,
so
take up space,
powerful. Yeah.
and feel powerful. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. I love
exactly.
that.
So that's something that, I've worked on with people privately, and I've also taught workshops, and I combine it to, I combine a lot of different sort of concepts that go together with confidence and about becoming fearless on stage and not being afraid to speak, and what it means to really not, in this world that I built, this sci-fi world that I built, I like to say that in the futuristic world where women rule this alternative reality, confidence will not be a skill set. It will be your birthright. In other words, you'll be born with it. And when you're born with it, it's a whole other feeling. You don't have to learn these tools. You are already there because that's just the world that you are raised in. And so what I want to help especially women do is to acquire that internal calming confidence, where you're not begging for anything. You're just there, and you have it, and you have it in your body, you have it in your spine, you have it in your walk and your gait and your talk and everything. And so any women who kind of need to speak on stage, get nervous, need their confidence for their businesses, need to just dive in. That's what I do. And, it's something that is important, I believe. And also, like when you talked about domestic violence and the women who get hurt and who get traumatized, and how difficult, so much more difficult to build up your self-esteem after something like that has happened to you. So
true. So true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate this. We will have the links in the comments below. Visit them, join Movement 360, schedule a call with Anna. And as much fun as I've had talking to her today, imagine if she looked into what you are doing and what's going on with you and your projects, and could help you out with that, help you build up some confidence from the outside in. That would be, imagine what your future would look like. Maybe you would be at Cannes Film Festival one day. What if you could be at a bookstore and the whole shelf is covered with your books and you're a national bestseller? Imagine having the confidence for that, and not being at all shy or apologetic about it. There's no reason to be apologetic. So thank you so much,
Thank
Anna.
you
I
so
really
much for
appreciate
that,
you
Simone. That
taking the
was so
time.
beautiful. You really made my heart sing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching my video. If this content has helped you in any way, help me to share this with others by subscribing to this channel, and Please click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Also, like the video and don't forget to comment below your biggest takeaway so that we can share it with others. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.